Hello everyone, my name is Joshua. This is the 112th video of my video journal series. Today's date is Sunday, the 31st of May, 2026. How's everyone been? I've been pretty good, thank you. And tonight I actually went to Vivid. I didn't stay in Darling Harbour for long. I just walked by Darling Harbour because I wanted to check what Vivid was like. And yeah, it was very busy out in the harbour. There were obviously a lot of like light shows and free activities, but it was very, very crowded. And yeah, obviously with the drone show, they cancelled that. So there's no more drone shows for this year, but it's going to be replaced by a fireworks show. Or, well, sorry, it's not being replaced by a fireworks show, rather, they're just going to do the fireworks show, which, is good enough. But yeah, it is, I guess, sort of disappointing that they had to cancel it, but it is what it is. And obviously, yeah, Darling Harbour, Tumbalong Park was very crowded. I didn't take photos, but oh man, I had my Canon R50 camera, which, by the way, I managed to clean that smudge. It wasn't on the lens; it was actually on the camera sensor. So not on the each individual lens, but the sensor that's in the camera. I just had a little speck of dust, so I had to go to the city today and buy they call them like rocket blowers, but it's really just a device with like a nozzle attached where you just like squeeze it and it just blows out air. I just put that near the camera lens, not like close up, but a little bit far away. And then I just squeezed it, puffed some air, got rid of the dust, and now it works brand new essentially. And I did take the time to like clean the lens for extra precaution. And yeah, that's one issue solved, I guess. And eventually, I guess, camera lens and sensors get dirty after a while, and I've had that for like a year. So, yeah, nice to know that it isn't like a lens issue; it's just a little bit of dust on the sensor. But yeah, I had my Canon R50 camera, and I was just taking. Um, man, I went to like some other areas in the city. I didn't take photos at Darling Harbour, even though I should have. But you know, I guess like when it's late at night and you got your like a very expensive piece of technology out, you don't want to like lose it or have it get damaged or stolen or whatever. So I'm always like, I guess, a little bit cautious. And yeah, obviously, I didn't stay there for long, so I didn't really take a proper look. But yeah, it seems a lot more crowded. But I don't know. It just seems like there was like less to do. I didn't really see like big, I guess, quote unquote, prop up things. There were long lines to the few attractions that they had at Vivid. I didn't go to Circular Quay. I just went to Darling Harbour, but I couldn't imagine Circular Quay would be, I guess, any better. I guess the main real show was the drone show actually, but now it's just, I guess, like a lights festival, which is what Vivid is, but like you know I guess that was a it's like if you go to an amusement theme park, right, and they take like one of the major theme park attractions away, it feels like 50% complete, you know what I mean? But whatever. And obviously, like I said, I got my Canon R50 finally fixed. Yet again, it was only like a $20 fix. The I've looked elsewhere, and luckily I didn't send it in for warranty or pay someone to professionally fix it because it was a very small fix. All right, I was originally gonna think, oh, I might have to send it through JB Hi-Fi because I didn't know if it was just an issue with the camera or lens. It's just when I opened it up, I saw there was a little speck of dust on the sensor. But if I didn't notice that, I would have sent it off to get repaired. And that would have taken like weeks, with like JB Hi-Fi, they're going to send it off to a repairer, then they're going to bring it back all for what? One little speck of dust and a 10-second job. And obviously, I think the camera's still covered underneath warranty, but luckily I noticed that. And obviously I'll need it down the line, so I kind of regret not just buying all the cleaning products when I got the camera, but I guess you only need to buy stuff when it's applicable to you when you need it, sort of thing. But yeah, what else? So yeah, looking forward ahead next week. Next week I really have nothing on, which is good. Obviously next week's I guess, week off. Well, not really, because I still got to look for work and all that. So, I've been applying to places, but they don't really, I guess, reply back to you saying, "Oh, you didn't get the job" or whatever. Like you're just waiting for like an interview that never comes. And obviously now it's pretty hard to get a job here in 2026. It's quite hard. Um, and I guess there's been periods like this, like 2008, the early '90s, for instance, where we're in economic downturn. Oh well, technically 2008 wasn't as bad as at least here in Australia. 2008 wasn't as bad as um, like 1991, for instance, because the global financial crisis here in Australia was pretty much like a blimp. It did affect us, but we were able to quickly recover from it to the point where it was just like a little blip, and we avoided most of the major impacts of the global financial crisis. But for the 1990 or 1991 recession, the early '90s recession, yeah, that hit us pretty hard. I think at one point it was like 10% unemployment or something like that. It was insanely high, and same with like interest rates. So that's why I think like 2026 is basically like, um, man, 2026. I wouldn't call it like the early '90s. I'll call it more like the mid to late '80s in terms of where our economy is at. The mid to late '80s had like pretty high interest rates, and I don't think it had like the same unemployment level as the early '90s, but it was pretty, I guess, moderately high. I guess we're facing just a lot of new issues as well, especially in regards to AI and workplace. You know, AI replacing humans in the workforce, and you also got all these other issues that have just been on my mind recently. And all the issues I guess you hear about in the news, just in regards to like employment, cost of living, housing, and all that. And often I look back to history and like trying to draw comparisons with history and all that. How did we respond back then, sort of thing. But nowadays we're just faced with so many new issues. It's kind of hard um, to sort of interpret history in that sort of way. I guess we're creating new, bits of history every single day. What we'll look back on the year 2026, what will we view it as in like 30 years' time, for instance, when it's the year 2056, how will we view 2026? Sort of thing, and that's what this video journal series is about. Basically archiving stuff, archiving my views, archiving every single day, at least within a given period. So yeah, obviously, I know it went on a bit of a tangent, but it is kind of hard to find a job now, and now you get like those. Now I've heard some companies are doing like AI interviews where you gotta like do like an AI quiz or something like that. Um, you know, and I think me personally, AI is just gonna go the way of the .com bubble. That is, it's got some promising aspects to it, I believe, but the oversaturation of AI is eventually going to lead to a. Yet again, this is just my prediction. It will lead to something similar to a .com bubble crash, where it will suddenly crash, and then obviously, the internet didn't die with the .com bubble crash; it slowly recovered. But AI has some promising aspects, but I think right now it's just oversaturated and it's trying to completely replace human creative output, which doesn't work. AI can be used for good. It can also be used for a lot of bad, and you know, um, I guess here in our society right now, we're just seeing a lot of that sort of bad aspect to it. But um, that's what I personally think. I might be wrong about it, but I feel like right now we're definitely living in an age where this heavy AI, I guess, saturation, and I guess it affects me when I'm trying to look for work, and I guess within my everyday life because um, obviously, I guess a lot of jobs, a lot of professions, sorry, and a lot of employers they're just scrapping the human workforce in place of AI, which is wrong in my opinion. I don't want to make this like I guess too political or whatever, but it's just something I've read about, and um, it is concerning, but at the end of the day, look, I don't think anything will replace human creative output. They always need some humans in the workforce, so hopefully I'll be one of those handy humans who'll be able to, you know, be able to, well, we should be able to work with AI and the technology. Use it as a tool, not as a supplement. That's that's a golden phrase. Tool, but not a supplement to creative, to just human output. Should be used as a tool, but depending on how it is used as a tool, it could be used to do like the mundane and filling stuff, but over reliance on it or use in an inappropriate manner could, you know, will never be able to replicate that authentic human creation. Like um, imagine creating a whole Hollywood movie with just AI. It will lack that human emotion and that human creative output. Movies are not all movies. There's some movies that are made for like cash grabs, but truly artistic and emotional movies. Like movies like Shawshank Redemption or Saving Private Ryan or Schindler's List are made with human creative output and emotion. If you get AI to replicate something on that scale, it can't, essentially, because it doesn't have that human emotion or story attached to it. So that's like what I think about it. So, companies and I guess all that trying to go full on with AI, but in my opinion, nothing can replace that human creative output. And eventually, I guess our society will slowly shift, um, maybe away from it, our total, I guess like corporates, corporations and all that, totally, I guess, going all into AI without, regarding the human quote unquote aspect of, work and output. And yeah, I guess that's. Sorry, I've gone a little bit off track, but that's something that's been on my mind especially when I'm trying to look for jobs and all that, like AI. And like I said, it has some promising aspects, but at the end of the day, I think we're just living in very experimental times with AI. Obviously, when something's new, a lot of people tend to go full on in it. At least some people, like people who tend to make a very big profit from it, just put a lot of money into it. But you know, it but they don't really know what the, I guess, full consequences of it are, essentially. Much like, I guess, many cryptocurrencies when they launch, pump them scheme. Um, Yet again, AI, I don't think it's very much like that, but I think you know a lot of people are pouring money into AI without fully, I guess, quote unquote, understanding what it is, or putting money into its, I guess, you know, my what I listed as the inappropriate functions of AI, essentially. Um, so yeah, I guess that was my little, I guess, rant about robots. Good old robots. Has anyone watched the movie Robots before? It was that animated movie released in 2005. I remember watching that when I was very young. Very, very young. I should rewatch it again. I know it's got Robin Williams in it. He makes a voiceover role in that movie. Yeah, that's just something that's also been on my mind. Robots. I'll get around to watching that maybe. Over I guess my next couple of weeks off. I'll definitely consider watching that movie, and especially other robot um, themed movies like Wally and all that. Um, I guess it's interesting to view how, like, this. It's interesting to think how robots were interpreted over 20 years ago, sort of. Like there was a bunch of like robot themed movies throughout the 2000s that I couldn't imagine being made today. Because now we have a completely different view on robots and technology and artificial intelligence and all that. My Canon R50 camera, for example, has a lot of smart and automatic features. I think they listed as like AI features or something. I don't know. And it just helps me like take better photos and all of that. And I find it very useful instead of going to like manual mode all the time and trying to get like the perfect lighting and playing around with the settings. Sometimes I just like to go automatic mode, and you can get pretty good pictures. I only go manual when I'm like, it's like, very good conditions outside. It's sunny, not too windy. You can get a perfect shot. I like to go manual, because sometimes when you go automatic, the focus can go like in and out constantly. So I like to keep it manual when it's in perfect conditions, but when it's like pretty like hard conditions or tough conditions where it's like dark outside, limited lighting, I like to go auto just to help me. So yeah, that's one positive, I guess, function of you know automated technology. It can assist. But at the end of the day, I'm still the one who's holding the camera and trying to get like a good angle. So that's I think that's a very good example of how I guess automation can coexist with human creative output. Photography, for instance. um, I guess moving away from robots. What else have I been thinking about? Man, obviously job hunting. I already mentioned that. I've been thinking about, I guess, well, media also. The latest game I got was Tomodachi Life on the Switch. I think it's Living the Dream. That's the title of the game, and I've been playing a bit through that. It's really fun. And obviously, I'm looking at like what movies have been coming out. The last movie I watched in the theaters was last week, called the Sheep Detectives, the one with Hugh Jackman. I watched that with a friend, and we only watched it because it had Hugh Jackman in it. But it was actually a very good movie, even though it's supposed to be like a more family oriented movie. It's a very good movie. I recommend you watch it if you're really into like crime and mystery um, films. It's not very, I guess, quote serious. Well, it is somewhat serious for like a kids film, but no, it was a very fun movie. I'll give it maybe like an 8 out of 10. It was actually very good. Something I'll show my children if I ever get married, and have kids, or if you got, I guess, a family, or young ones. I recommend the Sheep Detectives. It's a very fun movie. Yeah, I watched that, and obviously I've been looking at what else has been coming in theaters. There's the Devil Wears Prada 2, but a bunch of movies which I'm not saying they're bad or anything. It's just that I'm not interested in it. I can acknowledge that these movies are like good, and a lot of people are hyped for it, but I'm very much into like a very specific, I guess, niche of movies. It's usually like old movies or new movies that cater towards, I guess, franchises that I'm invested into. Like, I want to watch a new Sonic movie when it comes out, but that one's coming out like next year. So I gotta wait a while for that. But yeah, I don't know. I've been slightly, I guess, not really been following movies as of late. I feel like I was really vested into like going into the theater between, you know, 2019 and 2022, maybe 2023. But ever since then, because I feel like 2023 was a good year for like, movies. I feel like, depending. I feel like, was it 2022 or 2023, which was like a good year for movies? I feel like, obviously 2023 had like, Barbie and Oppenheimer, that trend. Oppenheimer was a very good movie. And 2022 also had like a bunch of like, just like big name films. And I think the reason why was because, 2020 and 2021 were like lockdown, right? So they had to delay a lot of movies to after lockdown, which was 2022, and a bit into 2023. So I feel like that's why like most of the quote unquote big movies came out in like those 2 years. You just got the first Super Mario Bros. Movie, not the 1993 one or the Super Mario Galaxy movie. We're talking about the uh, 2023 Super Mario Bros. Movie, which I enjoyed. I watched that one in. Did I watch that one in? Yeah, I watched that one in theaters. I remember that one was pretty good. Oh, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. That was in 2023. You had the Indiana Jones movie, Dial of Destiny, which I don't think was bad. A lot of people didn't like that movie, but I watched it, and sure, it's not as good as the original trilogy, but by itself, it's fine. Um, that's just my opinion, at least. Like, I like the parts where you like hear the Indiana Jones theme in the background. That's like some of the best parts in the movie because it gets you invested. Like, um, and obviously nothing will replace, I guess, the original trilogy, but it was okay movie, and that movie got a PC game, or I shouldn't say PC. I think it's on other consoles as well, platforms as well. Sorry, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, um, got a video game adaptation, and I heard that one was pretty good. I really want to get on PC when it goes on sale, but I had a friend who played it. He said it was like pretty good, so at least like one, I guess, quote unquote, objectively, you know, at least we got an objectively good video game adaptation because a lot of video game adaptations of movies tend to be like pretty poor. Um, so yeah, like 2022 and 2020 just had a lot of blockbuster big hit movies. Um, Maybe not Dull of Destiny. That movie flopped at the box office. Um, but yeah, I guess like, but now it's just I feel like now it's just been like slowing down. Not to say there's like not been good movies. Well, there has been good movies, but certainly not ones that I'm really quote unquote interested in. Also, you got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in 2022, right? Forgot to mention that. But um, yeah, so I've been just trying to, I guess, look at what else has been coming out this year. Um, but I get it, yet again, it just feels dry in comparison to 2022. Um, so yeah, but like that's just my, I guess, lens. If you view it in a different way, then all the power to you. It's just that I guess from the franchises that I like, and the stuff that I like, it's been dry for me. Um, so yeah, obviously that's movies out of the way. Video games is also another thing. I like, obviously I like playing video games. I'm not invested much into video games as much as I used to. I obviously enjoy playing video games, but I don't really keep up with the news anymore. Um, because I just feel like now I just got a lot of other things going on in my life. But I just have a few games that I like, and I just like to replay and enjoy. The PS5, especially in particular, I've been thinking about it. The PS5 has been out for 6 years. That makes me feel old, It makes me feel so old that the PS5 has been out for 6 years. I remember when it released, there was a shortage, and, I was just like, eventually the shortage will end. Eventually the price will decrease. Well, not really. Prices remain the same, if not a little bit higher. Um, but I guess yeah, it's just crazy to think that 2020 in general was 6 years ago. Just yeah, it makes me feel old, like viewing as half a decade ago. Like, where did the time go, honestly? But yeah, I guess to like wrap this video up because I've really been all over the place. But I feel like this video should be like a sort of like checkpoint, and in like I guess me talking to you about um, I guess my life and my personal interests and all that. At least when it comes to like media and all, and you know employments and the stuff that I'm currently I guess faced with. But yeah, obviously, today was a pretty good day. Yet again, I have nothing really planned for next week. I might just stay home watching movies. I'll try and see if I can find a DVD copy of Robots, the 2005 movie, or maybe Wally as well. I know Wally's like pretty cheap on DVD. I like to rewatch those movies again, and um, yeah, I'll because I've got like a few. I know there's like a few secondhand shops and all that. They're a little bit far away from where I live, but um, I'll check eBay and the secondhand shops because now you can find DVDs for like dirt cheap prices. And obviously that's a good thing. To find movies for cheap, especially nowadays for like streaming and all that. Subscriptions can get costly. But yeah, I'll see if I can like find those movies, um, and watch them. And obviously, I still got to clean out my room. I have not done the desk section, even though it's like a very small section. I haven't done it because it's very hard to get into. I guess that'll be something I have to do next week because I don't want to hold it off for longer. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, again, who knows what will happen? I guess next week a few things will prop up because it seems like in my life, right, things that are like important, or take up a lot of time. They just seem to prop up like the last minute. Like you have like my mum telling me, "All right, we got like a family celebration," or "Hey, we need to do this," sort of thing, just like the day before. And not to say I'm like busy or anything, but it's just nice to have, I guess, that advance notice rather than the day before. So yeah, I guess that's just my little rant about life. But I guess today's little wise quote. Man, what would be today's theme? I guess it'll be like robots. Um, it'll be I'll just title it robots. Because not the 2005 movie. I'll just title it robots and employment or something like that because it's really been all over the place. But I guess that's how my mind operates. I just jump from one thing to another. Anyway, today's little wise quote will be will be, I guess, to um hmm, yeah, I don't really know. I guess I'll say to enjoy um art, and to really, I guess, appreciate human creative output. Appreciate, like, the arts is a very serious platform. I don't think a lot of people, I guess, you know, value the arts as much as they should, especially when it comes to the media, because we're really told at a young age, that like you know maybe it's just my life, but we really, I guess, devalue the arts. We don't really, I guess, value it enough. Like you know it's a very, I guess, expensive field to get into, especially if you're doing something like an arts degree, and that's why um, at least in my life, I've been discouraged from like doing something like an arts degree because you get limited employment, and it doesn't have like many jobs, and to some aspect, it depends what field you're going into, but I just find it, I guess, a little bit sad how you know not much attention is being paid towards the arts. Most people just view paintings as just drawings or pretty pictures or something that everyone can do. And to be fair, everyone can do a painting or a drawing, but it takes it takes skill and human emotion to create something that's moving, that goes beyond a picture and creates an expression or an emotion or evoke a particular feeling, you know? And I think, like, obviously, that's something that AI or robots cannot replicate, that human feeling, um, you know, the imperfections, the realistic portrayal of certain things, not like a hyperfixated reality created by AI or artificial intelligence or auto-generated software. The arts is a very serious skill, and obviously everyone can get into the arts if they really put their passion and soul into it. But something that separates the arts from, let's say, um, a fifth grader's drawing would be, that human output, that complex human emotion that is present. You know, the arts is just not simply, our free time drawing pictures, making movies, you know, simply for money. It involves complex human emotion and the human experience. Involves, being able to tell a story or invoke a particular response for creative purpose. That's what the art is. And the arts are very, very important. Here in Sydney, a lot of our old movie theatres have been demolished over the years. And, I look at old images of Sydney and old movie theatres and I go like, oh, these theatres were gorgeous and beautiful, but now they've been demolished. And most of them demolished like throughout the 70s and 80s. But, Sydney is a very Sydney has had a history of arts. We're very much well, I guess back in the day we're very much an art city. Now we are, but I feel like in some ways the arts has sort of been devalued, and you know, obviously I'm not really, I guess, like an experienced expert when it comes to this, but I feel like it's not really, I guess, given much appreciation as much as it should. The arts is a very complex and um, very intricate thing, and that's why I urge all of you to, I guess, appreciate the arts. Appreciate the stuff that might seem boring on the outside, but when you really go into it, it's a lot more sophisticated. And um, you know, I guess our society should place greater emphasis on the arts, because the arts can teach us a lot of things in life. It can really teach us all about human emotion and creative output, something that cannot be replicated by you know just simply machines, rather than incorporating human emotions through small imperfections and you know stuff that humans will basically understand, basically not like because robots really haven't been through pain. All right, robots really haven't been through complex emotions. They're just simply automated. Humans have been through that, so I think the arts really does incorporate that well. And obviously, yeah, if you're into the arts industry, I respect you. And yeah, that's just my, I guess, opinion of the arts. I should really make a whole video on the arts, because obviously I'm not into like an arts degree or anything. But I find it really, I guess, fascinating. And obviously, I feel like appreciation of the arts should be, you know, I guess, greatly prevalent in our society, at least more prevalent than it is right now. But yeah, obviously, man, what a long video. I know it's a Sunday night, but even then, I've been blabbing on for way too long. And yet again, this is just all my opinion. Not to say everything I say is definitive. You can disagree and all of that, and obviously as this video journal series goes on, I sometimes shift my opinions and my views on life. So obviously, I guess that's one point of this video journal series. But by and large, I you know very much believe in, I guess, the core values of you know um, especially when it comes to something like the arts, for instance. I believe that human creative output really cannot be replicated by machines. That sort of thing. So yeah, obviously, yep, that's, I guess, my perspective on things. But I guess I'll catch you all tomorrow, and I'll see you all next time. Bye. See you. Take care, and have a great one. Catch you all tomorrow.